Welcome to the Roundtable, episode 122. I am Jennifer Eller, the Events and Environment Ministry Leader here at Life Church. And with me, we have our lead pastor, Mike Hill. And with us is my great friend and fellow prayer warrior, Shani Young, and her beautiful daughter, Tracii.
We should all clap.
Hello.
Right? That's what these are for. We just never use them. Are those jelly beans?
No,
That's her medicine for her cold.
You brought jelly beans? I love jelly beans.
Yeah. Here, have one. It's delicious.
No, I was just distracted.
Oh
I
my
like those look really good. Yeah.
So Shani and Tracii, they just got back from Israel, a trip with their family. And so we wanted to have them on to hear about their experience, things that they saw while they were there, hear how God worked in their lives, just all of that. But before we get to that part, let's just kind of get to know you both just a little bit more. So just tell us a little bit about each of you.
My name is Shani. I have been coming to Life for, I don't even know how long. You may know.
A long time.
I don't know how
8,
long.
9 years?
Oh, I think it's been longer.
We've been
than
here
that.
13. So
I think it's been about 11.
Okay.
And I have 3 kids.
Do you love to read?
I don't love to read.
Do you have a favorite book? What about movies? Do you have a favorite movie?
Yeah, probably My Best Friend's Wedding is my favorite movie. Yeah.
My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. I never
It's
heard
like
of
a comedy.
that. Okay.
Do not like romance. Do not. I mean, this is like
You
a
don't like
romantic comedy.
no
That's
sappy stuff.
nothing. Nope.
No
I've never seen The
sappy.
Notebook or anything like that. Like that's no. Yeah. No. I don't really have many hobbies.
You don't have any hobbies?
I don't think I do. I like to work out. I would consider. I guess that would be my hobby.
Okay. Are you a Netflix person? Do you ever watch TV?
The only time I watch TV is at night to put myself to sleep, and I think I've told you a Hallmark because I already know what's going to happen.
You did
and
say that. I forgot.
Yeah,
about
I just
that.
fall asleep to it.
Well, I could fall asleep to that too.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to fall asleep, watch the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, it does because you just know what's going to happen. So no, I'm not a big TV person.
Yeah. Tracii, are you TV, book?
Yeah,
movie?
no to books. I do like Christian books, but like to just read a book for fun, no.
No.
But yeah, I like TV shows. I'm always watching some kind of series or something.
What do you got a favorite?
I love Gossip Girl. I've watched that like 6 times. I love Gossip Girl.
Never seen it.
Never Gossip Girl.
Really?
Manifest.
I did. Yeah, I did
started
watch
watching that.
And when I got on the plane to go to Israel, all I could think of, which they don't even know anything about it, so I didn't say anything to anybody. But all I thought was like, oh, I wonder if and then we hit turbulence too, and like.
That was it. The plane's going to disappear for 8 years.
I was thinking of Manifest, and I didn't say that to anybody, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Manifest.
What a favorite movie?
Okay, like I'm opposite. I like romance. So I like the one with Miley Cyrus. I forget the name of it.
Wrecking Ball.
That's a song. Is that a movie?
No,
I know. That's the only thing I can think of Miley Cyrus is Wrecking Ball.
no, it was her. No, I loved Hannah Montana too, but it was a love story, and I don't know. My mind's blank right now.
Isn't Hannah Montana and Miley
Anyways.
Cyrus the same person?
Yeah, but they're
But this is when
different.
she was normal and this is when she's crazy.
Yeah, but she at the time she was still normal. It's actually a movie she made with her ex-husband, and it was cute. I can't think of the name right now. It'll come up in the middle of it, I'm sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, but when you say Christian book, you have like a Christian fiction or...
No,
Like self-help books.
there you go. That's a good one.
Read.
Anything I like to read about prayer, like prayer warriors. My mind's blank right now. Like I can't think of any. I like the circle prayer. What's it called?
Yeah, the Circle Maker.
Circle Maker.
Mark
I like that
Batterson.
one.
Did you ever read any of Tommy Tenney's books?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love all of his books. I've read a lot of them. So, yeah. Some people think they're far out, but I love them.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I think they're cool. Anyway.
Did you read the one? I can't think of what it's called, but he was at a church preaching, and the Spirit fell like so hard there that the what do you call it? Where you stand and preach, like where you put your Bible.
Well, they call them pulpits.
Yeah, like the pulpit or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, in the old days,
yes,
like the big
it was
wooden
made
pulpit.
of plexiglass, but it's shattered. Like that's just
Well,
amazing.
I mean, and even in the Fresh Wind, Fresh Faith, Fresh Fire, Jim Cymbala books.
No, I don't.
So
know that.
Jim Cymbala, this is the thing that, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit, when you're talking about the Israel experience, but the whole idea of the power of the spiritual realm and the things that happen. So Jim Cymbala had a church in New York. And so he has these book called Fresh Faith, Fresh Fire, Fresh something. Anyway, he talks about how they deal with demon-possessed people. And so he said there was this Hispanic woman. She's like 5'5". She comes walking in during a service, and, she was demon-possessed, and walked up there to pray for her. And she grabbed him, picked him up, and threw him from like the bottom of the stage clear to the top of the stage, and how they had to, pray over it. But those are the things that are always fascinating to me, because some people are like, oh, it's just all gibberish, like that stuff isn't real. But I think that you got to open yourself up into the spiritual realm and the things that are true. Like, I do think some of that stuff is fabricated, but it's for sure reality.
Yeah.
I mean, we read about in scripture, like the guy that was chained up, and they had to chain him up because of his strength and could break his chains and all of that. So that stuff's got to be real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would it have stopped? And why wouldn't it have been different, with that? So in that, like Jennifer talked about, you guys were in Israel. So before we get into the, like, hey, we showed up and, the place gets bombed, and then you try to figure out how to get out. Can you give some highlights of like these are some moments, like we saw some certain things that moved you in certain ways, or were there certain things that were like, to see that and then read it? Because when we did the Footsteps of Paul, that's the part I thought was so cool. Like, you're reading it in the Bible and you're standing at the place that it happened. I think some of that stuff, that to me was fascinating. So any of the moments, like whether it's a sight that you saw or whether it's conversations that you had, anything that sticks out, Tracii, with you? Or
Okay, so when we first got there, actually it was the second day, because we got there a day before everyone by accident. And then that's when everything happened, and we were like by ourselves, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the second day was actually like the first day of the tour. So we're in the bus and we're like driving like to the northern part of Israel. And I was looking around and I was like talking to God, and I felt guilty kind of for saying this to God. But then I was like, God knows my heart, so I'm just going to say it anyways. Like, this is the thoughts that's gone through my mind. So I'm praying and I'm like, God, like, I see these cool places on TikTok, like Bora Bora and like all these, like magnificent places. And I'm like, this isn't really cool. Like, nothing. And I felt so, but I was being serious. Like, I was like, there's not, it wasn't ugly, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't pretty to me. I was like, why is this your chosen land? Like, why did you choose to come here of all places? And all throughout the entire trip, I learned a lot about like parts of the land and just different things. She'll share a lot like about the honey and stuff. Like, okay, so I'll just say it, I guess. Yeah. So our tour guide, so she was talking about how whenever God promised the Israelites, he said the land of flowing of milk and honey. So it's actually Israel is divided in two. And then, so the top part, like the northern part, is honey, and it's actually date honey. And the land is like really fertile. So like they have like,
green.
Yeah. So like they have lots of plants and stuff like that. And then the southern part has like all of, is it goats and what else? Sheep?
Yeah. And it's dry. It looks like desert, like mountainous desert. You don't see green. Very, very rarely you might see one tree.
So that's why it's called the land flowing of milk and honey. And so when I read that in the Bible, I was always thinking like, oh, it's just like this awesome land. I didn't really didn't take it literal, you know what I mean? So when she's saying all this and I'm looking around and I'm just like, there's just nothing that sticks out to me. And then at this time we were by like the Sea of Galilee. So there's water. And I felt like the Lord said to me, because I'm all you need. So like your necessities is here, but that's it. Like there's not much else. And then mountains. Okay, so like when I read and it says so-and-so went to this mountain or that mountain, they're not mountains, they're hills. It reminded me of Kentucky. I was like, this looks just like Kentucky. Like it's that tall.
Yeah,
like, because we've been to Colorado and like those are mountains to me, but these were hills. And I'm like, this is so weird. And I felt like the Lord said, because I'm all you need. Like everything that you need is here and nothing extra. And so that was something that I learned.
Yeah, that's cool. That again, that one, you would be honest to say, Jerusalem, Israel, Bora Bora, man, God.
Yeah.
what
You know what I
were you
mean?
thinking whenever you landed your people here? But
Yeah.
I think that's a cool perspective when you say, hey, then, God can say, like, don't get too caught up in the land, but get caught up in me.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that I thought was kind of like funny. Okay, I've never been to LA, but like my friends have. And so like they've been to like the Friends set and stuff. And so they videoed it on their Snapchat. And so like when you're watching these TV shows, like the set or whatever, it looks like a large kitchen. Everything looks normal, But then when you see it on other people's Snapchats or like any TV show or any set, it's really tiny and it's like, squeezed in. And it's like, that's so weird how they make it look so real. That's how all of Israel looked to me. It was so small and everything was like so packed together. And I'm like, in my mind because like I have this picture, in my mind when I read my Bible, and it looked nothing. It was tiny. It was just like, so like I said, it wasn't mountains, it was hills. Like it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, it's so packed together. It's so funny looking.
Right. It makes me think of like, I wonder if that's part of the reason people struggle to experience the presence of God here, because we fall so in love with the country. We fall so in love with our surroundings. We fall so in love with everything that we have. And it's interesting to me is like when people get away like that, that happens a lot of times on mission trips of any sort, where like when something's taken away, that distracts you, which tends to be everything here. You know what I mean? There's just so much distraction that you can then experience God in ways that you couldn't before. So I think that's a great perspective.
Since you said distraction, tell them about how you prayed for your dad's phone not to work.
So, Dad lived on the phone the entire time. Like, he lived on the phone.
Like, he kept getting phone calls like, you need to get your family out of there.
Texted.
Okay.
Yeah. No, just like, you need to get your family out of there. What are you doing? Like, he kept getting phone call and text. And so he was just on it all the time. And I'm like, look around where you're at. Leave the phone alone.
Oh, God.
He wouldn't leave the phone alone.
And I mean, I had so many people, like random people I've never met before, like messaging me too, asking if I'm okay. So, I mean, my phone was going off too, but half the time I ignored it. And like, I still tried to like soak everything in. And I was like a photographer. I mean, I took pictures everywhere, but then as soon as I would stun, like I'd put my phone in and then try to like meditate and stuff. So anyways, because I don't think we said this yet, but Dad was really scared. Like none of us were, but Dad was really scared. And so I prayed and I asked God, I said, if his phone is distracting him, then just let it not work or something. Because I told him that too before, like I even prayed that. I was like, why don't you just turn it off? And he's like, no, people's going to go crazy. And I said, well, let them know then. Like say, hey, I'm turning my phone off. We're okay, whatever. And he's like, no, I can't do that. So anyways, that night I prayed that. And when the next day, the moment we entered Jerusalem, and I'm not exaggerating, the moment we hit the city limit, my service went out for about 4 to 5 hours.
Really?
I turned my phone off maybe 3 times, I guess, probably 3 total. And then I went to like settings, cellular data, and like turn that off and on probably 9 times, and nothing would work. Their phones worked, not mine. So it was me. And I feel like and I didn't even tell Mom, like I told no one. I was like, all right, God, I see what you did there. So I let it go.
Funny. Yeah. Shani, you have anything that sticks out to you?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I know you have 1,000
Yes.
things. You and Jennifer were talking earlier about.
Yeah. No, I don't know what one thing that sticks out. Like I don't have like a favorite. One thing that was really cool is we were in the vicinity of where Peter denied Jesus like that 3rd time, and we were looking at the statue. And it's a statue of him and I think maybe a Roman soldier and a little girl or something. And as I took a picture of it, in the background, like a good ways away, you could hear an echo of a rooster crowing. And another man, I forget what his occupation was. It wasn't archaeologist, but he was something like really smart. And he asked me, he's like, do you hear that? And I said, yes, because I think he thought he was hearing like in the spirit. And he's like, you do hear that? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, you mean you hear a rooster? And I said, yes, I do. And he just is crying. that was a really, really special moment because I felt conviction of I have done this. Maybe not that way, but the way I've lived my life. And that was really neat. Like I was something I wasn't expecting because it wasn't a rooster there. It was in the distance. So I thought that was really cool. No, I'm just in awe of how God had like our steps ordered from the day I'm the one who messed up our tickets and we went in there a full day early.
And you didn't know that?
No,
until
I
you
didn't
got
know
there?
until the day before we were leaving. And then I tried to switch my tickets because we were supposed to meet at the airport between 4 and 6 at this cafe, and then everybody leave from there. Like that's what we were told to make our flights for. Well, I did that, but the day before. So then the day before, I did try to redo our flights, but it was like thousands of dollars more. It was much cheaper to go in and get a room. And so at first I was so nervous because I was like, buddy is going to kill me. I can't believe I did this. What am I going to do? And so I just started Googling, like, I wanted to make sure I had like a very nice room because I didn't know anything about it there. And then one place that we were not allowed to go to was Bethlehem. Like our pastor we were with, he was like, that's the only place that I don't feel comfortable taking this group. Other stuff going on. It's in a different country. And he's like, no, but my girlfriend who went in March, their driver took them there. And he like knew guys they didn't have to go through security or go through the border or something. I don't remember what she said, but she's like, that the day that I figured out that I messed up our tickets, she sent me his WhatsApp. And so I wasn't going to tell Buddy that our pastor said it's unsafe to go to Bethlehem. But you're
sneaky.
What I was just not going to lie about it, but I just wasn't going to mention it.
Right.
And so that was what was on my agenda. We're like, okay, we're going to go in there a day early. I am going to get my family to go see where Jesus was born. You know, like why wouldn't I? This must be God. You know. And so I also made our hotel. I picked the hotel that is connected to a mall, and it was close to this place called the Carmel Market, and I'd seen it on TikTok. Like it looked really cool. So I was like, okay, we're going to have a full day. It's going to be great. As soon as we step off the plane, Buddy, like the war isn't going on, but Buddy is so nervous and like he just didn't like it. As soon as he stepped off, there was something, I don't know, he just got into a really bad mood and he was hungry because, you know, it was like a 10-hour flight.
And he's hungry.
Yeah, and we all pretty much were hangry at this time. And so we get to the hotel and I didn't know this at the time. Like it didn't even occur to me. It's Shabbat. So nothing is open from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. They do not do anything.
Down to like I'm not joking, the elevators were on Shabbat. When the woman told me that, I was like, what? And she said, yeah, the left one stops on every floor. So use the right. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I took a picture the next morning. We went to get coffee. There was a sign or a paper, and it said something about the coffee maker being on Shabbat. I was like,
I have coffee.
The coffee maker is on Shabbat. It was so, and I texted my aunt and I said, even the elevators and the coffee makers are on Shabbat. I don't really know what this means, but this is so weird.
So that made Buddy even more mad because he's starving, and they don't have like machines with chips and stuff in them there. They have nothing. There's nothing to eat. There's not a gas station nearby, like nothing. And so I did bring granola bars and miniature Snickers. So that's what we had for dinner. And I bring my own coffee maker everywhere I go.
You what?
Yeah, I have a little coffee maker and it travels. It's been all over. And it did not work there. Like I had the adapter for the electricity, but it pulled too much electricity, so it wouldn't work. So now it's been 24 hours, no coffee, no food. Buddy's nervous. It was horrible, just horrible. And so that's that evening. Okay. The next morning, still Shabbat, I were sleeping and I hear the sirens and it wakes me up and I'm like, I knew that exact sound because I watch Israel News daily. And I was like, no, nothing's like, I know nothing major is going on right now. We're fine. Probably like, I don't know if it's a minute or 2 minutes. You hear the bomb. Wow. And I'm like, my eyes just open. I run to the window. I look out. There's nothing. Like nobody is out there. There's nothing. And we're right across from a women's hospital. So I'm trying to tell myself, I bet that's their ambulance. I'm here. They must be doing construction. Wow. Like I know nothing's going on.
Is there ambulance?
No, like the sirens.
Oh,
and then I thought the boom was like maybe construction somewhere, because the whole town looks like it's under construction.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I'm not going to wake Buddy up. There's nothing we can do anyway. I'm letting him sleep. The kids, they have their own room. And I'm like, I'm not waking them up. They're fine. So I go ahead and start getting dressed, and I hear it again. Still, I don't wake them up.
Nobody else in the room's waking up because of bombs or sirens.
So I was me and Jet were in our own room, and I was sleeping. Now this was like 6 their time. It's probably like 9 or 10 here, but we were so tired.
Okay.
So I was like, you ever like, you're in a sleep and you hear things, but you're still sleeping? You know what I mean? Like, so I heard it, but then I was like, no, and I kept sleeping. I didn't even open my eyes. Like, I was so tired. So, no, I heard it.
Okay.
And you could feel it too. Like, I felt it because it was only, like,
It wasn't far away.
a couple
The
miles
bombs
away.
weren't far away?
No.
Yeah, a
Do
couple
you know all
couple
this?
streets.
I do know all of this.
You knew all this
I
when
think
it was
I
going
kept
on?
into contact with
She
her
had
daily.
emailed me like at 4:42 a.m. You know, you need to be praying for me. This is going on. There are missiles and all of this stuff. And I'm just
'cause,
like,
yeah, we got the prayer request, but
Yeah, then I sent it to you
didn't-
guys, yeah.
I didn't know that it was like, Yeah.
Yeah, no, just
I
a couple
know.
blocks, maybe miles. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah.
So then when Buddy gets up, I still don't tell him anything.
and
I'm
Buddy
like,
hasn't heard it or felt
no,
it.
he's out.
Way to go, Buddy. Heavy sleeper. Heavy
So
sleeper.
yeah, he doesn't. He gets up and he's getting dressed, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell him. He's already so mad, that we're here and he can't eat. And so they did have breakfast for us, but their breakfast is different, of course. But
It's Shabbat breakfast.
yes, but they only have dairy in the morning and meat at night, so it's just different. The breakfast was delicious, but. So we go up there and I'm just thinking, okay, he needs to get coffee and then I'll tell him everything. We got to get him coffee. And after he gets dressed, he sees like under the door, like they slid a paper under there and telling that there's bombs and we need to go to the bomb shelter.
wow.
And he's like reading this, like, what? And I'm like, oh, yes.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah,
Forgot to tell you. I
I've heard
looked
them all
out this morning and there's bombs outside of our window. Just slipped my mind while we were eating breakfast.
And he's, like, I'm like, but it's done. It's been like minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. We're good. It's fine. So we go up to breakfast. Then he sees there's no coffee. That makes him even more happy. So he's asking the front desk to get us a cab to take us to another town where we're supposed to meet the tour. Well, actually, we were supposed to go back to the airport and meet our tour, get on the buses there and go to another town. Well, now I just want out of this town. I'm like, no, because it was in Tel Aviv. I'm like, we're done. We need to get up to where we're going. So I'm texting the pastor. I'm like, are we okay? What's going on? Because he was already there, but not in the same town. And he said, where are you? That was it. And I was like, oh gosh. And I told him, and I'm like, I think we're just going to come to you. We're not going to go to the airport. He's like, that's fine. Just come here. But you're fine. Don't worry. Like he was super calm, keeping everybody calm. So Buddy's trying to get a cab and they have no like large cabs or vans. And so the lady was like, you need to get 2 cabs for your family. And Buddy's like, I'm not putting my family in 2 cabs. We are going to go in the same cab, whatever. So I am texting the driver that picked us up from the airport and brought us there. He reads it. He doesn't respond. Like I'm asking, can you come and get us? He does not respond. Now, the day before when I thought I was going to go to Bethlehem, I had that guy's WhatsApp number. So I'm texting him, explaining our situation. And he came from Jerusalem to get us. And his family did not even want him to come and get us.
Wow.
He came, picked us up, and then took us to what's called Herzliya, or I don't know how to pronounce it, to another town. And he was trying to explain the situation that was going on. He's like, trying to calm Buddy down. Oh, and this is very funny. Buddy's not a drinker. Like it's very rare that he'll have a drink. And after he didn't think we could get a cab, there's a bottle of wine in there. He drinks half a bottle like that morning. Instead of coffee, he's got the wine.
I only know of one time that my dad is drunk.
Yeah,
Like,
like
I
he's
only
not
know
a big
one
drinker.
time.
Like, and so
Now
now he's fine. He's calm and he's enjoying the taxi ride. But so we get to where we're going, and then I forgot kind of where I'm going with. Where am I going with this story?
Yeah, because Jennifer had sent us like, hey, you guys are over there. And so for all of us here praying, but we didn't, I guess I didn't put it together that like you were that close. Cause I just in my mind made it sound like in my mind, this is what I made up, is that like you guys were somewhere there, but you were away from where all
No,
the
I think in that
fighting.
initial like email, like 5,000 missiles, or like missiles were like 2 blocks away or something
Yeah, it
like
was,
that. I mean, they were like right
in the
there. And you
heart.
could tell at that point in time the panic in you, because I
I
was like,
was-
what should I do, Shani? What should I do? And I thought, no, send it to the staff, send it to the prayer team. People need to be praying for them. But at first I was kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. I mean, I even kind of got a little on edge for
Yeah.
her.
So that morning when I found out for sure what was going, that's when I emailed you because I didn't want to text because there was nothing you guys could do to wake you up. But I was, even though I was very nervous and I was panicky, I wasn't like, I didn't have fear. And I know that sounds super crazy.
Because
Now-
there wasn't like pandemonium around.
No, not where we were.
I have a video of when we were in the hotel. So I told you the missiles first started around 6 a.m. We got up around 8, had breakfast. I'm going to say, breakfast started at 10 because we almost missed it. Okay. So then.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want people to think about this. So people that are watching on TV, right? We're seeing these guys come in on these things and shooting everybody and bombs in the city. And you're sitting here telling the story. You know, the bombs started going off at
We didn't see the
6
guys.
a.m.
No, like, I
We
was
went
about
to
to say-
breakfast. you know
we
what I
didn't
mean?
see,
Like, it just,
No,
that.
it wasn't.
But,
We didn't. That was in the Gaza Strip. We were a little ways away from that.
Yeah.
Not by much, but we were away from that.
okay.
Anyways,
Sorry. Yeah,
no,
keep
no,
going.
you're good.
Yeah,
so
the
anyways, no, I have a
pandemonium, you said.
video of when we got back from breakfast. So I'm going to say like 10:30 of more sirens going off. And we were like, I was like videoing from our hotel room, like down, and you could see people like running. Now, no, like there's no military or
Right.
any guns or anything, but I mean, there was panic.
Right.
Not like the news though. But yeah, I mean, we see a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like you guys were seeing on TV. Because
Yeah.
my family, of course, I had people messaging me that aren't even on my friends list on Facebook asking, how can we help you get home? And I'm like, we're fine, you know?
Yeah.
But no, there was panic, but I mean, inside of myself, but not fear. And I don't know how to even explain that.
The peace that surpasses all understanding.
That's, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say those are the things that, you know, when you say it, when you teach it, when you read it, until you experience
Experience
it,
that you don't know.
you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You-
And I've only had that twice in my life.
right.
And this for the longest time, I mean, this lasted a full week. Not saying that I didn't get nervous or anything, because I did at times, but it was, I don't know, it was just that. But
But you got out of Tel Aviv
yeah.
and you ended up, because I think what I read, maybe it's the second text, or I can't remember, because immediately then I'm like, can you go find Facebook and see what's going on with Shani? So Sarah and I are like flipping through, trying to find where you guys were at and what was going on. But then something said you guys moved north
Yeah.
and
So
it
that
wasn't as bad. Or
So
Yeah.
from Tel Aviv that night, we went to, I don't know how to say this, Herzliya or something. And we stayed there overnight. And they were all assuring us that this is a safe area. They do not even try to bomb here. You know, it's always close to the Gaza Strip is where they have all the stuff going on. So we were perfectly fine. We even asked the pastor, like, can we go out and walk around? And that reminds me, like, that kind of sounds like it. No, and this is
We had a little
The
rumbling here,
sirens.
TSD.
so I have to stop real quick. So we had to we had to go to Jordan to be able to get out of Israel. And we were safe in Jordan, but Buddy heard like a firework or something when we were in a hotel there. And immediately he's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you must have PSTD.
She said
Yeah.
POSTD. And he's like, I have what? And I'm like, I don't know. Anyways. Okay, so back up. We go, we're in this town, and he's like, yeah, you can go out. I mean, it's still Shabbat. It's Shabbat. It seemed like it lasted a week, but
Forever without coffee.
it was really, I don't know how
bad.
they do it over there. So we were
This is now you've moved on. You're out of Tel Aviv. You
into
get to a
this other
place and
town,
you're like, it's okay to walk
25
around.
minutes north or 30 minutes north. And so we did. We walked around in there. It was like on the ocean or on the Mediterranean Sea. And that night, we were sitting outside and we thought we heard something again. And you could see in the sky the missiles, and then you could see the Iron Dome go and stop Stop it. It was like a firework. It was actually very beautiful. And then you hear the sirens, and then everybody, the employees and stuff, they are running, go to the bomb shelter. And there's different bomb shelters. And we had to go into basically the parking garage. Excuse me. And at that moment, because I was like, okay, we were assured that this is a safe spot, no bombs, nothing. And I mean, the men come down with just a towel around them. Like they truly rushed to get in the bomb shelter. And then I did get nervous. That was another time that I got nervous because I looked at my kids and, Buddy's taking us away from the group and he's like taking us by the pillars. He's like, we got to stand against this pillar and, like all this stuff. And
so he had like thought through the whole, like where to take
his
him.
brain was going. And I did look at my kids. I'm thinking, am I being stupid? Like, because I really am a fearless person, but I don't want to do that to anybody else. I did get a lot nervous just looking at them thinking, God, am I not using wisdom here? So then I really went into deep prayer for guidance, not because I can get kind of prideful, like, oh, this is what I said I'm going to do. I'm going to finish doing. I don't care if there's bombs. Like I do have that personality. So I really did have to pray about that. And I still had the peace. Like, no, you're fine. I've got you. So that next morning we moved up into the Galilee area and that was a lot safer. We didn't hear anything except we did see tons and tons of tanks and fighter jets going constantly.
Oh no, we were like right at the border of where was that above it?
Lebanon or?
Yeah, so I think it was at Lebanon.
Lebanon. I'm not sure. I'd have to look on the map. I don't
But
lie.
we were like, was it only a mountain in between us?
I don't remember.
Was it rifles? I don't know. I'm wanting you to finish it.
I forgot about that. Yes, we did hear some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
We got up there and they just wanted
But it
to shoot
wasn't
at us.
scary. But we had heard it was like machine guns. I don't know what kind of gun it was.
Yeah, there was.
it
I mean,
rifles?
technically, yes, there was stuff going on all around us, but we were safer in that area. Yeah. And so we stayed there for 3 days, and the stuff that we learned there was just amazing, like so amazing. To look out to be in or on the Sea of Galilee where Jesus did so many things. I mean, he walked on the water, he calmed the storm. Like you couldn't even, it was like your brain could not absorb it. And we were kind of rushed, because the pastor said, I'm sorry, but we do have to go through these things a lot faster than what we normally would. I want to make sure you guys get to see as much as we possibly can now instead of like taking your time to absorb things. But the way that God literally had his hand on every step that we took, like we went there to the Sea of Galilee and the boat that we had, the guys that own that, they already had 3 family members pass away in the war that day. Like that day or the day before?
It was the day before.
Okay, the day before. They did not want to do any more tours. But because our guide we're friends with them, they took our tour out and that was it. Last one for 4 months. And that was amazing to me because I probably would have been really depressed if I didn't get to go out on this.
Who does that?
You go there and you can't even go out. And then like when we did go into Jordan, our bus, we didn't find this out until that evening. Our bus was the last Christian bus that they let across the border. Like that was amazing to me. And then the hotel that we stayed at in Jerusalem, they stayed open just for us. And the day we left, we watched them. They were turning off electricity. They had so many of their employees that had to go to war, and they're done for they don't know how long. They had to lay off their employees. The other ones went to war, and they stayed open for us. Like there's so many things that happened that were like, that's only God. Like he wanted us there. This wasn't an accident. And so it was just amazing. Like, I know there's so much my brain wants to tell you guys, but I just can't remember everything. Like, it's just
to talk about you guys, because your whole family got baptized in the Jordan River, and 2 of your family members had never been baptized before. So how did that come about for them wanting to make that decision?
Okay, so Jet, he is 18 and he's never been baptized. And I've always asked him every time we have baptism Sunday, like, I'll just ask him. I've never like forced him or tried to push him at, to do that. I know that strictly has to be his choice. And he's always told me, I want to get baptized in the Jordan River. And I never knew if that was going to happen, to be honest. I'm like, okay. And I just kind of thought that maybe had been an excuse because he's kind of a shy kid and maybe didn't want to do it in front of the whole church. And so he was doing it. And then my youngest, he's only 6, and I wasn't even going to ask him because I just didn't think that he could comprehend it until he started asking me questions. And then when I started talking to him about it, I could tell that he got it. And so he said he wanted to do it. And then myself, Buddy, and Tracy, we've already been baptized. And Tracy and Buddy just were going to do it because they were there. And at first I thought, yeah, I am. And then things got mixed up, and that was our first stop instead of it was supposed to be our last stop. And when it was our first stop, I thought, no, I'm not going to do it because, number one, I do not get in ponds or lakes. They disgust me. Number 3.
Kudos, I love
Two.
Yep, me too.
You don't get in ponds or lakes?
I want to see the bottom.
Okay.
I don't want no
same.
snakes or fish
I don't
or
like that either.
anything.
Yeah, I just don't do it. Number 3, I don't like to be wet. Like I go to the beach and I just stay on the shore. I do not like to be wet. And number 4, like when you can't shower really good and you still feel sticky and sweaty, like it ruins my day.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can't even explain how much I hate this stuff.
I'll be honest, like I was really disappointed when they said it was the first time too, because I'm like, I don't know, that is uncomfortable. Like think about it. Like
Yeah.
you have the rest of the day, like
Right.
To see all these
and
spots.
feel icky. Like I
Yeah.
mean, truly, like that did suck when she said that. I was like, oh no.
So I wasn't even planning on doing it. And then something just came over me. Like I didn't feel led like I needed to because I've already done it. Like I knew that. But just that I wanted to do this for Jesus. Like I wanted to do it for him. I wanted to be uncomfortable for him. And so I went ahead and I did it. And I can't say like, oh my gosh, it was the most magical moment. It wasn't. I can't say I like felt his presence so strong there. It wasn't. But the joy that I had being uncomfortable, I didn't think was possible. Like I had so much joy that I actually wasn't uncomfortable. Like I know that sounds so weird. Like me going around the rest of the day with wet hair, like that's so miserable on me. Like in reality, like I hate that. I was perfectly fine. Like I don't know.
Before you ask another question, I gotta throw this one in there because I'm not sure if so. Todd Little comes up to me, and so it's baptism Sunday. So he's like, "Mike, Shani brought home water from the Jordan River," and I'm like, "Okay, wait a second." So we're in the middle of a war, and there's somewhat of a
I don't know what's in it, but
somewhat
That's
of a
pretty clear.
restriction on like what you can bring home. So I said, Todd, do you know how she
in
got
that.
it? Like, did she buy it?
is weird.
He's like, no, she put it in a shampoo bottle, and she got it in a shampoo bottle. And I'm just thinking, I want to share it. Do you think we should just dump it all on me, or do you think I should just dump it into baptismal? Anyway, I just thought, wow, Shani is over there and gets a shampoo bottle out in the
Collecting
middle of
water.
a baptism. Like, yeah.
yeah, that's just kind of girl I am.
Sorry, I just had to get one. Todd told me that. I'm like,
No,
out of all the
you know how
things
they
that-
have those in the hotels, like the in your hotel room. So I just emptied it out, cleaned it out, and I was like, I don't think they're gonna question that. Like,
no,
if
I was
put it.
thinking when he said it, I was thinking you went out there with like a Head and Shoulders bottle.
Yeah.
This great big bottle, and you're out there and like, Jesus. Hold on a second. Let me fill up the Head and Shoulders bottle. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
keep going.
I can just think of one other story that you had shared. It was like your last day that you were there, that you were on one of the I want to say the Mountain of Olives. I don't remember what it was.
No. Okay, no, that was really amazing. It was our when we were in Jerusalem, the last evening in Jerusalem. We went up on top of what is now called Mount of Evil, Hill of. Oh my gosh, what is it?
I don't know.
Mount
That's
of
where
Evil.
NATO is, or the, yeah, go ahead.
The
sorry.
what?
The U.S. The embassy or the
The
UN.
UN.
The
Yes.
UN.
Yes, and so we're on top of that, and we're like looking out at the Mount of Olives, and then there's a couple of different valleys behind, underneath, in between, and you could see all of Jerusalem. It was so beautiful. Like Tracy said, it wasn't like. It was beautiful to me because that's Jesus' city. Like,
Right.
that's what everything. She's thinking things are ugly. I see beauty that I've never seen before.
It was Mount of Evil Council / the Hill of Evil. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, it was
I looked
called Mount of Evil, or of Evil Counsel.
Mount of Evil
Mount
Counsel.
of Evil Counsel, because that's where
The
Judas
UN.
and now the UN's there. Like, I mean,
Yes.
seriously, it's
I know.
unbelievable.
I know.
Because so many things happen there, you know, like
Evil
anyways.
things.
Yeah. So we're looking at that, and then the pastor just leads us into a prayer for Israel that was just beautiful. And then we just start singing Yeshua, and oh my gosh, it was like an experience. Like it truly was an experience. And when I say all these things, I don't mean like the presence of God was so strong there, even though it probably was, but it was just the atmosphere felt different, I guess. I don't know how to even put it in words, but it was so beautiful and so amazing that we were able to just like bless the city from above. And I don't know, it was just amazing. Everything was amazing. And then the next day we went down into when they arrested Jesus, they had to put him down the hole. I don't know what it's called, but we went down in there, and now that there's steps that you can get down there, but of course at that time there wasn't, and it's the same walls, the same floor, and the hole is still there where they dropped him. And you know, the night before his crucifixion,
in front of the Sanhedrin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's a church. But one thing I thought was cool is the Catholic Church bought, I don't know if they bought it or how the land works over there, but to save a lot of the holy sites, they would take it and build their churches on top to keep the holy sites. Because if not, they were going to be demolished and stuff built on them. But anyways, I respected that, I have to say. But to be in that was, there's no words for that. Like, there's no words.
No. Did you have more questions?
We have some people who have some questions about Israel.
I do want to share one thing.
Yeah, so I have a couple saved too.
I didn't know
keep
this.
Going.
So I know I've shared with you before, like sometimes when I go to different, like on vacation, different towns, like I can feel the atmosphere change. I can feel spiritually things that sometimes my body don't know how to handle it. So as we're going into Jerusalem, the pastor starts talking about, there's something called Jerusalem syndrome. Have you heard of this? I had never heard of it either. Jen, have you? And it is where spiritually it is so strong, like the satanic spirit is so strong, or I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, that people can kind of lose their minds. And he said a lot of places that people go, and if you're a person that can feel this, you're feel like in other towns and stuff, you're feeling principalities and spirits. He said, but here you're feeling Satan himself. And he said, not everybody gets it. I think it's like 100 people a year, and they have to be hospitalized. Wow. And sometimes they think that they are a Bible character. Sometimes they just freeze. They can't walk. They can't talk. They can't do anything. So as we're going in, I did get nervous over that because I was like, oh, am I gonna get this? Like, I don't know if I can handle this because of things that's happened to me in the past with something like that. And so we get there, and I mean, I didn't feel anything. I was perfectly fine. I'm so thankful for that. But I started looking it up, and it's legit. But
Jerusalem syndrome. So if anybody's listening, watching, you can just Google it.
You Google it, but in I would say the worldly explanation for that is more of a mental breakdown. But in the spiritual, it's you know, they don't talk about that on Google.
Oh, they don't?
No. So I found that super fascinating. But I love
Sorry, don't
spiritual.
Google it.
No, I mean, like, that way you can see that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I love spiritual realm stuff. And so that was super neat to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one thing that like blew my mind, no pun intended, you know, blew. Okay. Anyways, that was kind of bad. I shouldn't have done that. Anyways, okay, so we're walking through like the old city of Jerusalem, and there was an older lady, and she was a Jew. She had like the long skirt on and stuff. And I thought she had like a palm tree branch, but it was brown, so I thought it was like dead or something. And she's waving it like at us. And so come to find out, it was a whip. But at the time, I didn't know it. Okay, so she's waving it at us, like at our group, and we're just walking. Like no one's talking about God or Jesus or anything like that. We're just walking as a group. And she's waving it, and she looks at me, she looks at my aunt. And she looked at me and she goes, "Stupid Christian," and she's waving it at me. And she goes, "Stupid Christian," and then she looks at my aunt and she goes, "Filthy, stupid Christian." And I was like kind of laughing, like I was like, "Wait, what just happened?" And then I looked at my aunt and she goes, "No, she's serious." And I'm like, "No way." I was just mind blown. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like that was crazy." That was the only thing, like. That wasn't even dangerous, but like that was the only thing that actually like happened to us that could have been, I guess, you know? Yeah. And then, okay, the spiritual thing. So like mom, like feeling it and stuff. So whenever we entered Jerusalem and my phone shut off, I was on the bus, and I can say not the whole time that I was in Jerusalem, but I could truly feel the Lord's presence so strong over me. And I didn't tell mom this either, but it sounds so silly because like I've never heard of this, but I got like butterflies. Like I've never had, I feel the Lord's presence all the time, but I've never had butterflies before. And I got butterflies and he took my breath away, like not in an anxious way though. It was peaceful, but like I had to keep taking deep breaths and it lasted for like 10 minutes. I was like, I don't know. It actually took my breath away. And that was the only thing that I can say that I felt like spiritually. But those were the two things that I wanted to share.
Wow. Did they ever talk about, because like every starting point class I do, we get to the story of Abraham. And so I always tell them, you know, like God gave Abraham all of these promises, like go to the promised land, do all of these things. And we talk about like, one of the principles of faith is believing God's promises. And when you don't, right? So when you don't trust him, there's not only repercussions for you, there's repercussions for the world. So, you know, when Abraham chose to sleep with his maidservant, Hagar, you know, and Ishmael, which is essentially, you know, so we tell this whole story, every starting point of, you know, just so you know, the descendants, the Ishmaelites and the Jews the Ishmaelites are going to be in constant conflict with the Jews, trying to kill them for all of their life. And not only Jews, it'll go into Christianity, and they're always fighting over land because, you know, Ishmael thinks that he has the birthright, right? Like because he was the firstborn. And like, did anybody talk through any of those things there? Like to put in perspective of like, this is what you're, and again, for Abraham, that's what I mean.
One night, it was the second night we were there, I sat my family back down and I explained all of that to them because they didn't know. But the pastor and stuff, no, they didn't talk about that. Not that I heard anyway.
Right.
But no, they were truly, I think, astonished to know that like we seen it firsthand. Like as we seen the bombs, we were talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all the time the argument over the God, and there's been conflicts, escalations, but this is one of the largest escalations that they've seen, you know, in that. And that, you know, when it says in scripture that all of the descendants of the Ishmaelites will be a donkey of a man, and he will always be in conflict and always be trying to harm people. And then, you know, it just puts this into perspective. I mean, this is historical, clear back to biblical times of these people hating Jews and has spilled over into hating Christians. Anything that goes against what they would believe is their birthright, their God, you know, and that it's spilling over into that, and that you're seeing that. And the thought of, and this is the thing that I think is always fascinating, and it was because Abraham chose not to trust God.
Yeah, so like all this is because of disobedience.
Thousands of people
we were talking about that
killed.
yesterday.
Conflict is happening all over the world because, again,
One choice.
Yeah, he made a choice, you know, to not trust God's timing, not trust what God said, not trust God's promise, and made a decision. And those, like, you're seeing it on a global scale, but this is really no different than our life. Like when we choose not to trust God, like the ripple effect is so much bigger than what we think. And that's why we always talk about it in starting point. Like this is a foundational principle. When you choose not to trust God, you're watching it on a global scale, or you might see it. Because even when I say it, people are like, oh, And then all of a sudden this happens and they bring up Gaza and the Gaza Strip and all the fighting over the land. So I was just curious if they had talked about that or talked through what that looked like at all.
Yeah. No.
So perspective things too, because this is the thing that I'm interested in, because I think this is brought an awakening too. I think like the idea that this is happening over there. Now all of a sudden there's Palestinian uprisings in America, right? Like people that are supporting the movement or supporting the, what's happening over there. And there's a heightened sense of that what persecution is happening there is going to end up over here. Like, now that you're back, do you think about that at all? Do you process any of those things at all?
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with Buddy buying more ammunition.
But you know what I mean? Because I do think that that's going to be, I've said for years, like I think that God's preparing us, from a faithful standpoint of like, how are you going to respond?
Yeah, I haven't went that far into it, but I mean, I have thought about who is in our country now with that border issue that we have that Biden just lets people come in? What are they planning? They could be coming to tons of little towns, not just New York City, not LA.
Sure.
What that is scary. I do want to share this one thing.
The bus thing.
What?
Oh, go ahead. No, say what you were gonna say because I thought of something just then too.
One thing that I guess might have been the only time, because I kept telling you guys I never had no fear, I'd have nervousness. I think I did have a little bit of fear because about 8 years ago I had a dream, and I think about it maybe almost daily because it's so burned into my head, and it was so strange, and it was the smallest, the shortest dream I've ever had, but I remember everything about it perfectly. I was in a room and it had white walls, it was small, and I was just sitting on a chair. Nobody else was in there except one guy. Couldn't see his face. I seen from his chin or something down, and he had a gun, how they put it around him. So it wasn't pointed to me, but it was he was holding it like this. And he started on this side of me, and he walked all the way around to this side, and he asked me over here, and because I followed him with my head, and he goes, "What does the name Jesus mean to you?" And I followed him all the way around, and when he got over here, I remember I looked up at him even though I couldn't see his face in my dream, and I said, "He's my everything." And that's it. I woke up. So one night when this was when we was in the Galilee area, I was sitting outside just praying, and I started asking God, because this dream has been so real for so long, and I've prayed about it, what did it mean for so long, and I still don't have an answer. But then I had this fear come in saying, this is what it means. Yeah. You might have to be in this situation. And I remember having such a real conversation with the Lord saying, I am fine. I will do that for you. Take me, do whatever you need to do. You have that much of my heart. I'm yours. I don't know if you have that part of my heart that I can say, do that with my kids. God, I don't know if I'm there yet. Help me to get there. I want to get there. And that's the only time that I allowed fear to come in, and then I had to push that away. Right. So talking about in America, I don't know. I don't know how I would handle or prepare for that. Right. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, listen, I think that kind of stuff was coming for a long time. I think the idea that Christian persecution, I think, started long ago and has been in ways that we've accepted. Right, because it's not been physical persecution. It's just been business persecution. It's been financial persecution. It's been in ways that America has just kind of said, it's an acceptable persecution, and we've done nothing to push back. Right, we've not, I think in the church, and I think in general as Christians, we just kind of laid back and said, better to stay peaceful than it is to stand up. And the problem with that is that now you have got Christianity to a place where the faith is so weak. If physical persecution ever did come, people are just not prepared. Not prepared for what those types of experiences. Because those things, the thing that people don't realize, and this is from a terrorist standpoint, terrorists do not take on the military. Terrorists do not take on men.
terrorists take on women,
and kids.
children, the elderly, and the innocent because they know the way to break Shani's great faith is take her daughter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's a concept that, like, as men, we're like, we got it, we'll fight, but yeah, take your wife and see what you do. Take your kids and see what you do. Like, it's a whole different perspective. And I think we've got to get better. Like, we need to stand up to all kinds of persecution. I know they made fun of us during COVID when I said it was persecution, but I'm like, this is persecution. When they're telling you to shut down and the church isn't essential, that's persecution. And the church needs to stand up to it, right? Like, they need to take whatever you're going to get, like whatever you're going to get. If you're going to get in trouble, whatever that is. And I think in general, across the United States of America, that failed. Like churches are just like, well, we just need to, conform. We just need to step back. It's okay to just, be in your home. It's a good experiment for you, because then you don't have to go. I'm like, come on, do you see what's happening? And I think this is, Jennifer, you were in the meetings. Like, we talked about these things of like, listen, we cannot keep giving into this. And I think this has just brought in another awareness to me of like, listen, we've got to figure out how to get our kids prepared. We got to figure out how to get our families prepared because when terrorism happens, it's not going to prey on the strong, it preys on the weak. And it's not the weak, but
I know what you mean.
I don't know what the right word is, but it's not going to be man on man. It's going to be women and children. And we as churches and we as, leaders need to get our families ready for those things and get prepared for that. So, yeah. All right, Jennifer, questions that you would have from people? I mean, because we could talk about this all day. We're already an hour in. And like I said, it's, so thankful when Jennifer was sending that stuff that we could journey with you in prayer, and for your family, because again, for us here watching, and not knowing, and you've kind of given us a perspective, but things could easily go the other way. Could have easily changed because I think Jennifer sent us a text the one time that said, hey, they're going to try to get to Lebanon. I don't remember.
Jordan. But they were talking about
trying to get out.
Border.
Like, you got to get over on the border.
And I was nervous about that because I thought, man, what's going to happen? Then we have no flights out of Israel. That's the only border that's open right now. And if they close it, what are we going to do?
No, I know. That's so we were all talking about that when we were praying, like in our family of like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what could happen. And I'm assuming it's not a great idea to get trapped on the other side. So anyway, sorry.
Nope, you're fine.
Can I add one thing, like really quick? So, like one thing that my mom has tried to teach me for a while is like to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, like it says, I think it's Psalms or Proverbs or something. And like all throughout scripture, like I can't think of right now, but it talks about praying for Israel and it being like the apple of his eye and all these things. And I guess I never really seen the importance of it. I mean, just because, obviously it's in scripture, so it's important, but I don't know, it just didn't like register with me. But now I realize like it's so important. Like, it's literally God's nation. And like the fact that you don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. You don't even hear a lot of sermons about it. Like, and I think just with all this, and obviously me being over there, but like with everything that's happening now, I'm like, why don't we talk about this? Like the church needs to talk.
Salvation is from the Jews first. Jesus was, Jewish. And and these are things, like I said, up until 8 years ago, I didn't know it was that important. I remember my dad always putting in my head, you need to bless Israel. And I didn't even really understand what that meant, but I always heard him say that. And I've always, because of that, I've always been a giver to Israel, even though I didn't understand it. But now like when you see it firsthand, you're like, oh, this is why we're supposed to pray. This is why we're supposed to bless Israel. It's just.
Well, if you think about it, clear back to the Left Behind series. So did you read the Left Behind series and watch the movies?
I watched the movie.
Yeah. So anyway, like if you go clear back into that, like this dramatized it, but think of it from this concept. If you look at a map and you see how small Israel is and what they're surrounded by.
Yep.
And
It's
then
sad.
you read essentially that Israel will never be defeated. That
Amazing.
that I mean, if you look around at the Muslim influence around a tiny, tiny Israel and the capacity that they have had to stay afloat in when every single person around them hates them and wants to see them completely
They are
destroyed.
favored. There's no denying it. Yeah.
Right. And that's why anytime, and I don't want to get off on the political realm, but anytime an American president would not support Israel, it's like saying we're not on
We're not on God's side.
yeah, we have went away from God's standard.
Yeah.
Because God said that we need to be a supporter of Israel. Like we need to be a supporter of the things that Israel does, because if you match up with what scripture says, so all throughout history, that's been a marker of presidents, like which presidents were pro-Israel, because if the United States becomes against or not pro-Israel, like you're just going against a nation that we would say was blessed by God, but the blessing can come away if you choose to go against
And it's so
Israel.
amazing how he still favors them so much when they are shaming him and spitting in his face, basically.
Yeah,
Not
and saying
you know.
stupid Christians. Like, that was so sad because she doesn't even know. I mean, obviously God loves us all, but like, and he doesn't show favorites, and I get that. It's hard to like put into words what I mean, but like, it was just so sad to me. I was like, oh my gosh, you don't even know how much he loves you. Like, he loves us all, but like, you know, you're a Jew. Like, I don't know. I can't really like say it the right way,
The
but
144,000, the remnant that's left that happens in Revelation comes out of Jerusalem, you know, and comes out of Israel. Like those 144 Jews that are converted, you know, at the time, the Wailing Wall, you know, I mean, it's all stuff that, I mean, a lot of that happens, you know, over in there. And
But like you would just see them like walking up and down, and literally my heart would break for them because I'd be like, you don't understand how much he loves you. And I thought one of my bold prayers was that I was going to convert a Jew and a Muslim.
oh, wow.
Like that was my bold prayer. And I really thought I was going to have a chance to. And then the pastor said, we are not allowed to witness to them. You can go straight to jail. If they are not open to receiving that, it's jail time there. And then I was like, that's not going to work.
Right.
So that didn't happen. But I mean, I take that back. I don't know what seeds we planted because we were talking to Jewish people every single day.
Is that the first time you had talked to Jewish people? Like, do you know Jews over here?
When we're in Florida, like we will, they vacation there a lot.
Yeah.
So we will talk to them. Like one time they asked Buddy, it's going to be Shabbat. Can you come and turn flip our switch, the electricity? Like they can't even do that. Little things like that. But no, I don't have a relationship with any Jewish person.
We used to have a truck driver at Zerkers that was a Jew.
Oh, really?
And so every week we'd
my cousin actually married a Jew. I've only met him once, but I've never had a real conversation with him.
It's just always in. I was the same way. He would back his truck up. He would help us unload tires when I worked at the warehouse. And all of us, obviously, small town Monroe, you're all Christian guys. And so just fascinating to listen to a guy say, how idiotic are you to believe that Jesus, the prophet, the one who was a carpenter, would ever be the Messiah? Like, do you guys understand how far off? Like he would have talked just like we would have thought a Pharisee would.
Right.
Like he had these conversations that would say, do you understand how crazy it is that he wasn't a king? Like he wasn't a king, that he would never be a king. And that, you know, that they still were talking about, like when you read in there of all the things that were missed in the Jewish faith, it's still today. And he would believe it wholeheartedly of like, we're still waiting. We're still excited. Because he said, like, we're still excited for Jesus to come, you know, for the Messiah to come. Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
I could talk about this stuff
I know,
for
I can
hours.
too.
I thought we might have to do part 2.
Yeah, maybe.
Cut it in half. How will what you experienced changed how you live now that you are back? That's from Karen Bennett. So
I feel like I'm forever changed. I feel like one thing that I truly did, I took our freedom for granted. And I know that's not religious or anything, but I really did. I just didn't understand how, I just assumed everybody lived the way we did, except for maybe, you know, people in Africa that are starving or something like that. But I will never take that for granted again. And I hope that it changes everything that I do, every aspect of my life, because I've seen everything. It made the Bible come alive in such a different way that I didn't think was really possible, because I've read it so many times and I've studied it as much as my small brain can. But now I see it like just totally different. I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything in particular that I think is going to change. I just hope everything changes, even down to joy. I feel like I'm not a very joyful person. Joy, I believe, only comes from God. I might be happy sometimes, but not true joy. And he's showed me what that is, even in the midst of such chaos and confusion and mystery. And I've now have experienced real true joy.
Yes. What about you, Tracii?
Kind of like what I was saying a minute ago, like now I understand the importance of praying for Israel and sowing into Israel. And so that's a huge thing for me. Like that, I'm going to start doing that now.
So Karen had a couple questions. We'll ask one more here. I've read that most Palestinians in Gaza don't agree with Hamas. Were you told that while in Israel? Or do you think that it's fake news? She said, laugh out loud.
No,
I don't know.
We weren't really told much about that. We didn't talk a whole lot about that. We, like our pastor and our guide, just really focused on what we were seeing and the tour and things like that. I personally think that, I don't think that they all do agree with Hamas, because I don't think every Palestinian is evil, or I think there's Christians over there. So I don't think every person agrees. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know that much about them.
Let's see here. We'll get off of Israel here. Jamie Tackett, what book of the Bible do you spend the most time in and why?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, because it just depends on what I'm studying at the time. So that's what I kind of
And what's your favorite book of the Bible then?
Oh my goodness. I love Revelation, even though I don't understand a whole lot of it. And I guess I'd have to say Proverbs. I mean, because it tells you how to live every day. I mean, that's kind of easy answer.
Tracii?
I love all of the letters of Paul. Like every sentence, not even every verse, but every sentence there's just so much in it. And then to think like he could be so encouraging in prison, like, wow. But I love James. I would probably have to pick James because he was Jesus's brother. So obviously he knew firsthand, and he still viewed him as a king, even though, I mean, like, okay, like me and my brother, I mean, I'd never say he was a king. You know what I mean? Like, you would think he would have some sort of, they had to have a different relationship. You know, they had to, well, I don't know if Jesus fought, but maybe like, no, that's mine. No, give it back. I don't know. And so I really like James, and also I like it because it's short. It's like if somebody asked me, it's easy to read, and somebody asked me like, well, what should I start at? I'd say start in James because it's short, it's not overwhelming, and it's full of so much information.
Yeah, awesome.
Good.
Yep, let's leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So you want to finish this up with the text messaging group?
Yes, I can. So yeah, if you want to be a part of the text messaging group for the roundtable, text podcast to 260-408-8383. And then every Monday I will send out who our guest is going to be, and you can respond with some questions for us.
Yeah. And again, thanks, Jennifer, for getting this set up. I mean, this was kind of a last minute thing. So anybody that has a story or wants to be a part of, because we just think it's the power, like the roundtable has just been a powerful outreach to be able to take people's stories and the things that God is doing. So Jennifer, thanks for getting that, set up. And Tracii and Shani, thanks for sharing your story. Like I said, it's something that we could continue to talk through. And I'm sure that, I'm going to tell people like, hey, when you see them at church, like talk to them. Because again, I think just a part of our witness is just talking about our life and the things that are relevant, the things that God is doing. And, that I'll just continue to pray for you guys that, there are moments that are high and then they go away, that these are going to be moments that just get like seared into our consciousness, and even for the people that are listening, like things, there are moments in life where I always say you just put a stake in the ground and it's like, I will never go back that way after that stake. And I think these are stake in the ground moments, you know, things that you witness, things that you guys talked about, things that people are going to see or hear that are just like, this changes the perspective of everything, you know? So thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for sharing your story. So if you guys are watching or listening, make sure that when we get this out on social media, make sure that you share, like, comment, you know, whatever you guys will do on social media. But it helps us get this story out. If you see Shani Tracii or her family here on a Sunday morning, take an opportunity to go up and say hi, encourage them in that. And again, we just thank you for try to recommend the podcast to other people. We want to keep trying to get it out to more and more people. So again, Shani, Tracii, Jennifer, thanks for getting it all set up. It was awesome. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.